Hey, hey, hey. Once again, as I mess with lights. So welcome to the live stream. This is the second one back in a while. I took a little break from streaming. Last week I tried to stream with a new dog. Well, she's not new now. We got her as a puppy at 4 months old. She's now almost a year. And last week when I tried to stream, she was barking so much and making so much noise. We really couldn't do the stream. So today I got her a bone. And normally she's all about bones, but for whatever reason, she's not chewing her bone. She's wandering around. So we'll see if she grabs her bone and hopefully instead of barking and distracting the stream. So basically the stream is today is talking about understanding the fretboard and getting a feel for how the 12 tones in Western music are laid out on a guitar fretboard. So basically, Dave, how are you? I did. Yeah, good to see you. I did give her a bone. It's on the floor. She's, for whatever reason, not eating it. Well, maybe she is now. I'm sure she will when she realizes there's nothing else going on. So, how are you, Dave? I'm really in need of new strings. Anyway, so this live stream, we're going to keep it doing all right, eh? I think last week on Wednesday was a birthday, right? Somebody's birthday? So I'm going to jump right in here to the content, even though there's not a lot of viewers in the moment, but just that way when people are rewatching the stream, the content is right there. So basically, there's I'll post a link here too that we'll use. I'll post it into the chat. One of your grandsons, yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, I bet that was nice, right? Oops, apparently I didn't copy and paste it right. Give me a second to grab it. Okay, hold on. Now I think I got it. There we go. Okay, it's in there. Now there's a link there for the stuff we're doing. So anyway, so basically we're going to take a look at the 12 tones used in music. 7 of the alphabet letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then 5 sharps or flats. 3, I don't understand why the bone's not working. You hear her scratching at the door? She's ruining the door too. So basically, if we were to look at, if you'll notice the page, if you click on the link to the page, you notice I use a piano to kind of view the notes. It makes it a little bit easier to see things. So we can see that on a piano, the white keys on the piano are just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, going over and over again. But you notice there's 5 black keys, a group of 3 and a group of 2. But you notice there's 2 places where there is not a black key in between the letters. So there's no black key in between B and C, and there's no black key in between E and F. So basically, this is how the 12 tones are constructed. The 7 alphabet letters and then 5 what we're going to call sharps or flats or accidentals. And how that's going to relate to the guitar basically is happy 4-year-old and cake. Yeah, I bet. 4 is such an awesome age. So what that means is on the guitar, anytime, like so if we have an A, which the 5th fret of my 1st string, my E string is an A, the next alphabet letter is B. It would be a whole step higher to the 7th fret. Always. So any A, I have an A on the 2nd fret of my 3rd string, a whole step higher to the 4th fret is a B. I have an A on my, there she is. I'm gonna say hi there, Kaya. She's got a gigantic tail. Okay, I don't know what she's doing. So fun. I can't even believe I I rushed out this morning to get her a bone in time for this stream, just to give her something to do. But anyway, she's not barking, so we'll take that. Okay, so we said, yeah, so any A. So I have an A on the 7th fret of my 4th string. And if I go, Kaya, hey, that's not yours. I can't, this is crazy. I got her a bone just for this. Now she's taking my earplugs away. Give me a second. Kaya, that's not yours. That's not yours. That's not yours. Drop, drop. Where's your bone, Pop? I don't understand. I got you a bone. Where's the bone? Here, come here. What are you doing? Kaya. Come here. Pop. What's up? There's your bone. I don't. So bizarre. Like, she loves bones. It doesn't even make any sense to me that she. So strange. So strange. Okay, let's see. So yeah, so I was on the 7th fret of my 4th string for an A. The 9th fret would give me a B. So anytime we have an A, B is always a whole step. Always, no matter where you are on the guitar. Now, of course, you could stay that same 7th fret A on the D string and go to B, the 4th fret of the 3rd string. That's still a whole step. That's still the same as this. So then when we're on B, the next alphabet letter C will always be a half step away. Because if you remember looking at that piano graph, there is no black key in between B and C. So that means they'll always be side by side. And then from C, we're going to go what we're calling a whole step. So basically, when we skip a fret, we call this a whole step. When we go from one fret to the very next, it's called a half step. So from the C to D, the C was on the 8th fret, the D would be the 10th fret. And then E would be the 12th fret. And you might know that since there's 12 notes in music and we were starting just kind of on this open E string here, the 12th fret is back to E again. So if I count this E as 1, and then I go 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So when I get to this E, it's 13. It's back to the open E, 1 octave higher. Kind of neat. So this is going to be an important part to understanding the fretboard, and an important part to making sense of music theory and how it's laid out on the fretboard. So understanding that those 7 alphabet letters and the 5 sharps or flats, and then basically knowing that whenever there's a B, C is right beside it, and whenever there's an E, like that 12th fret E, F is going to be right beside that. So I can then start little exercises where I'm looking for E and F. So I have open E, F on the 1st fret. I can go E, F. On my 2nd string, I have an E on the 5th fret. F would be right beside it. So I might just start by going E, F, E, F, E, F. Then if I go to my 3rd string, I'll have an E, F on the 9th fret to the 10th fret. So E, F, E, F, E, F. Now something interesting about that, 3 of these are all actually the same pitches. E to F, E to F, E to F. Those are all the same. You might think, oh, they sound a little bit different. We would call that timbre, but it's actually the same pitch. So if I'm going to sing it, these are all the same. Same note, same note, same note. Where this one, I can't sing it, but it's an octave higher. But these 3 were all the same. So I like exercises like that. And then if I were to continue that, I would have an E, F, 2nd fret to 3rd fret on my 4th string. Could also come to 14th to 15th fret on that same string. So now I have E, F, E, F, E, F, E, F, E, F, E, F. And then E to F on my 5th string, 7th fret to 8th fret. Then low E to F. This should look the same as your 1st string, and the 12th fret. So E, F, E, F, E, F, 7 to 8 on the 5th string. 2nd to 3rd on the 4th string. We could also go an octave higher, 14th to 15th. E, F on the 3rd string. E, F on the 2nd string. E, F on the 1st string. So it's kind of a little bit of a boring exercise, but it's a great way to start finding those EFs. So now if I did the same thing with B to C, and I find all my BCs, then this is a great way, because as you practice that, you'll kind of have a few notes that you always kind of remember where they are. You'll start remembering where these Bs are and where these Es are. And And then if you know where B is, you know C is right beside it. If you know where E is, F is right beside that. And then slowly we start piecing it together. My other favorite exercise, and let me see if it is on that page that I just posted, because I'm not 100% sure that it is, shows us the A, B. Yeah, it is. So where you see the let's apply this knowledge to guitar, you'll see it goes all of the natural notes on the E string, on the first string, and then it shows them on the D string too, just to give an example of what it would look on another string. So I'm a big fan of making up little exercises on single strings and working on scales, or in this case, just the natural notes, right? No sharps or flats. And you just make up an exercise. Last Wednesday when we were trying to do this live stream, we were using a little finger exercise, I think, because somebody had come into the stream that didn't do any finger picking and wanted something very easy. So I think we were just going index middle, if I'm not mistaken. Or maybe we were going, well, I think we were using our thumb on the low E. We were going thumb, index middle, or thumb index. And then we were basically just moving through these notes. Oops, I just played a G sharp on the 4th fret. Now it's a dark sound. We would call that a Phrygian. That's the name, that's the sound we're hearing. E to E, using all of the natural notes without any sharps or flats, is called an E Phrygian scale. It's basically the notes from the key of C, but being played from E to E. So it's got a very dark kind of dark sound versus, say, the key of E. That one has a much brighter, happy sound, right? But that's using E, F sharp on the 2nd, G sharp on the 4th. A and B would be the same, 7 and 9. C sharp, though, 5 and 7, sorry. C sharp on the 9, D sharp on the 11th, and then E on the high E, 12th. So, again, I'm just going thumb index. And what's interesting is every kind of combination of notes that I play on that string, I end up with different sounds. So we said we had the sound of E major. E Phrygian. A very different sound, right? And again, if the thumb index is kind of a bit boring for you, throw in the middle. Go thumb index middle. Now, depending on how long you've played and what you're trying to get out of the exercise, you may just want to go E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. In other words, you may just want to say the note names out loud. Or, you know, you may just, once you kind of start memorizing where the notes are, you may just want to make up stuff with that exercise. And in that case, you might not be worried about trying to name all the notes, because if you're trying to name all the notes, it might distract from them. Ivo 1212, how are you? Good to see you again. Yeah, so if you're trying to name all the notes and it's kind of getting a little hard on the head, then don't let it distract too much from the exercise, because there's a lot going on when you think about an exercise like this. One, you could be working on something new finger-wise. And again, you know, if you've not finger picked at all, thumb index might be challenging enough. Thumb index middle, you know, might be challenging, or you might go thumb index middle ring. How are you, Ivo? Good to see you in here again. Or we could reverse that. I could go thumb ring middle index. We also talked about you could move the notes on the low E string, because they will be the same as the notes on the high E. So, for example, we had E. These are both Fs on the 1st fret of the 1st or 6th string. 3rd fret are both Gs, both As on the 5th, both Bs on the 7th, both Cs on the 8th, both Ds on the 10th, both E's on the 12th. So you could move the 6th string. Oops. Or with the 3 fingers. So again, very dark sound, right? It's that Phrygian sound, so it has a dark sound. So if you're finding it's like, whoa, that's kind of dark and it's making me like kind of unhappy, if you're not liking the sound of that, then switch to an E major scale, in which case we would be going E, F sharp on the 2nd, G sharp on the 4th, A still the 5th, B still the 7th, C sharp on the 9th, D sharp on the 11th, and then E. Now we have a much brighter, happier sound. And I'm really encourage you to try to have fun with the exercises. I think the more you can kind of create almost your own exercises, but you're still incorporating some theory, some fretboard knowledge, some technique, the more fun you're going to have and the more you're going to learn. And I think the more you'll find yourself, you know, having fun playing, but learning something beyond just, you know, learning riffs by our favorite bands. Not to say that's not important. Obviously, that's super important too, and super fun. But these kind of exercises really open up the mind, as far as creativity is concerned, right? And again, you decide what level of difficulty you want the exercise to become. You know, so if thumb index is plenty, just do that. If thumb, you know, doing more fingers, do that. You could make up kind of any exercise that you want. You could go, I think I already did a video on this, if I'm not mistaken, a live stream, or maybe it was a video series. I think it was a video series. I think it was the same exercise essentially, but we went thumb on 6, index on the 2nd string on B, and then middle finger on the high E. So we had this sound. Then you would apply that same bit of knowledge that we've been using to this low E string to figure out the notes, or high E string, whichever one you would rather goof around with. And the trick is, don't rush through the exercise, you know? Just kind of listen. So I have an A on the 5th fret. Just gonna stay there for a little bit. Maybe I'll move up to B, up to C sharp, D sharp, now if you're wondering this motion, my strings are really old and the intonation is not very good on them anymore. They're basically dead. So what I'm doing when we use vibrato is we're taking that pitch and we're kind of wavering it up and down a little bit. So it deceives the ears a little bit, so the ears don't hear it if it's a little flat or a little sharp, a little out of tune, and we don't hear it as much. So, and there's different ways you can vibrato. You can grab a string, you can exaggerate it, but I can also vibrato this way, which is a little more like a violin or cello would do. No right or wrong way. It's just whatever you're looking for as far as sound. Thought I had better light going on, but I guess I didn't. Again, because I decided to rush to the... Is that better or worse? Since I decided to rush to the store, I don't know if that's better or worse. Instead of to get a dog bone, which she's not chewing, but she is laying down peacefully, so I'll take that. Yeah, so like I said, we're basically, anybody just joining us, we're talking about understanding the fretboard, the 12 tones, essentially 7 alphabet letters, and how those 7 alphabet letters are laid out on the fretboard. And basically what happens is anytime we have an A, so the 5th fret of my E string, a B is a whole step. Anytime we have a B to a C, right, A, B, C, we're just doing the alphabet letters in order, those will always be a half step B to C. So we took an exercise where we went through and found all our B to Cs. And then from C, we went a whole step to D, 12th fret. I think we initially started on the high E string, but again, doesn't matter what string you're on, right? They're both the same. Then E on the 12th fret, then F would be a half step. And so one thing, if you click on that link, what I have not explained, or that I like to use, I think of Bert and Ernie to help remember this. So anytime I land on a B or Bert, C is the very next note. Anytime I land on an E for Ernie, F is the very next note, like right beside it. Every other alphabet letter, so I'm on the F, I have to skip a whole step to get to G. There is no H, so after G, I skip a whole step to get back to A. And this works over the whole fretboard. And I should show you one other thing that I think is kind of cool. And actually, a saxophone teacher in college taught me this, who used to do a lot of writing for guitar. And he viewed the guitar as trains leaving the station. So check this out. This is kind of neat. If this is train 6, we'll call it 6 because it's the 6th string, E, and it goes E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp. When it gets to A on the 5th fret, that's the same as your 5th string A. Those are the same notes. You may recognize tuning the guitar that way. So now if I go A, A sharp, B, C, 5, 6, 7, 8 on that low E string, that's the same as open A, 1st fret, A sharp, B, C, C sharp. Oops, I went one too many notes. I was only trying to do 4. A sharp, B, C, A sharp, B, C. Now watch what happens. If I go A, B, C, sorry, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, A sharp, B, C, C sharp, when I get to D on the 5th fret here, that's the same as the 4th string or 4th train, right? So basically A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are the same as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when I get to this D, this 4th string now starts. See what's kind of happening? So as this one is moving up, it's the same what's happening here. Now by the time I get to these 4 notes, D, D sharp, E, F, D, D sharp, E, F, D, D sharp, E, F, that's the 4th string. So in other words, we keep ending up with the same notes all over the fretboard in different places. Ronnie, how are you? Ronnie said, oh, you look tired. I am okay, Ronnie. Thanks for asking, but I am tired. It was I was up late and up early because of the dog. So I probably look tired because I am tired. But I am okay, and thanks for asking. The importance of getting sleep before I do live streams, I guess, right? But yeah, I just didn't get enough sleep. That's all. But thanks for asking. How are you, Ronnie? Good to see you in here. So again, we're talking about understanding the fretboard, and where we're at now is we're looking at how the same notes keep reoccurring over and over on the guitar. So what ends up happening is this E on the 12th fret of your low E string is the same as the 7th fret of your A string, which is the same E as it is the 2nd fret of your D string. Those are all the exact same E, and written on a piece of music, they would look like the same E on the staff, like not different lines or spaces on the staff. Does that make sense? I hope. Sorry, I'm just muting my phone. Yeah, so that's important too, I think. So probably some of the biggest exercises for me in starting to really get a grip on the fretboard and how it was laid out was a combination of stuff. David says lack of sleep only works for young guys. It's so true, isn't it? Right? As we age, lack of sleep looks more apparent, I think, on one's face. When you're young, you can have lack of sleep and really, you don't really necessarily look all that different, for sure. It's okay. This is what it is. Maybe if I back further. Anyway, it's all good. So a combination of what we said, like the E Phrygian scale on the E strings, E, F, G again. Follow the link here in the chat. We'll go to show you that page. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. Gives us that E Phrygian scale, kind of a very dark sounding scale, but and then the B, Cs. Finding all your B, Cs. I don't know if I missed some. And then understanding kind of that train thing. That as this goes E, F, F sharp, G, G sharp, A, when we get to this A, that's the same as this 5th one. So as this moves up, this moves up. As this moves up further, This moves up further. This moves up further. Now, if I get like, let's say up to this G here, G, G sharp, A. I know we're getting really high on the fretboard, but that would be the same as the 10th fret of the 5th string, which would be the same as the 5th fret of the 4th string, which would be same as 3, 1, 2, 3, or open, sorry, 1, 2, 3 on the 3rd string. So hopefully that kind of makes sense. But this stuff was huge for me starting to kind of understand the fretboard. Now, it's not like we're just going to take that information and then in a week time we're going to be like, oh, ta-da, I now understand the fretboard. It doesn't really work like that. You have to kind of keep coming back to these same exercises and keep working on them. And certain notes will start sticking. And then as they stick, you will be able to find the other notes around. So I find a good combination of these exercises we've just talked about, and then using, for example, kind of our scales that we know moving this way, you know, going from the 6th string to the 1st string. Because the one thing about playing scales on a string going up the fretboard, those are really good for understanding the fretboard. They're not always the most efficient way to play a scale. I want to come back to that A string in just a moment, because we didn't talk about that, and that might be like the one that I kind of end the stream with. I think we've covered quite a bit of pretty good ground here. But let's see. So we had the Phrygian scale, finding our BCs and our EFs. Oh yeah, and then learning our scales this way. So we start seeing how those notes look. So look, for example, this E Phrygian that we just did here, I could go, that's the same scale. So notice, I don't know, that whole thing was E Phrygian. So I never left. I stayed all basically with the notes from the key of C, the natural alphabet. I just moved all over the fretboard. And notice, and I'm just improvising, but notice I stumbled across playing an open E string, and then I played 4 notes from the scale. In this case, I was going 5th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret for an A, B, C. And then I turned that into an exercise by using the same notes that we've been talking about, this stream. So I went open E again, and then I played B, C, D, 7, 8, 10. So then I'm just going back and forth between these. Now I have a new exercise between picking and fingers. I have an open string and then 3 fretted notes. Now I'm working a little bit on stretching too, because when I come back to go G, A, B, 3, 5, 7, I have these stretches, right? Let me get my 3rd finger out of the way there. And then 1st, 3rd, 5th, and even bigger stretch. So now we've incorporated stretching into an exercise initially that just started on understanding the fretboard and finding ways of understanding the fretboard. David says, now I want a taco. But that comes back to what I was talking about a minute ago, by finding, you know, just kind of creating your own exercises. And then when you stumble across things that you're like something that you want to be able to play but you can't play, you expand on it. But keep the exercises really simple. So, you know, this could be one all by itself here, where I'm just playing an open E string, and then I'm playing the notes from that Phrygian scale on an E string. I could do it on the high E too. Now, probably incorporating metronome into this stuff would be pretty important too. And I've done streams on that, and there's lots of exercises on the site on that too. So, but generally with these type of exercises, incorporating a metronome is handy because it lets you kind of plot where you can actually play these exercises. You know, so if I was playing 16th notes, tick, 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 tick. My metronome handy here. I could figure out where I can play that at, say 60 beats per minute. And then if I move it to 70 and it gets sloppy, I'm going to come back to 65 maybe. And always try to stay where you have control. I've done streams on that too. Bear Logic, how are you? Good to see you. Or hear from you. I guess I don't see you, but. Okay, Ivo, that's awesome, Ivo. Let's go there for a minute. So Ivo said that's all good, but do you know pentatonic? Huh. Oh, with a wink. I gotcha. Okay, yeah, but I mean, hey, the pentatonic scale is a very, very important part of music. So like, it's definitely good to take these exercises. And so if you don't mind, I do want to turn this into pentatonic just for one moment, because I think that's important too. So we would have a couple ways, because we were talking about all the natural notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, in the 12 tones of music, right? So, and we did E Phrygian, just because we basically used our E string, and we learned all the notes on the E string. Again, for anybody that's just joining us, the link is in the chat. I'll post it again, just in case anybody missed it. Okay, it's back up there. And you can see the E Phrygian scale, which we could play on the low E or the high E. Do it all with one finger if you want. The rules I'm kind of using there. I'm going from 1st position to 5th position to 9th. So that means I would use my 1st and 3rd finger for that F and G. When I shift to 5th, I'd go 1st, 3rd, 1, 3, 4. Then I shift to 9th, but that actually puts my 2nd finger on the D. But I mean, you can use 1 and 3 also, but just depends again on how you want to treat that exercise. Pretty neat. Okay, so I wanted to come back to the A string before I wrap up the stream. Oh, the pentatonic. I want to come back to that. So we would have a couple ways to looking at this as a pentatonic. So we're talking about all the notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, which is essentially the notes from the key of C or A minor, whichever way you want to look at it. We've been calling it E Phrygian because we've been playing from E to E. So we could very easily take 2 notes out, right? A normal scale or mode has 7 notes. A pentatonic, of course, the word pent, 5, has 5 notes. So we have to take 2 notes out. So we could take 2 notes out of this string to end up with pentatonics, a couple different pentatonic scales. If we took out, if we were looking at it as, say, E minor pentatonic, we would get rid of this F. So we would go right to the 3rd fret, to the 5th fret, to the 7th fret. We would skip the 8th. We would go 10 and 12. So we have 12, 10, 7, 5, 3. There's our 5 notes. 1, 2, 3. Oops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then of course E is the. We're back to the same E. Now I'm just having fun. My mind just, for some reason, I don't have any idea why it went where it just went, but I think I was thinking of like the pattern from Van Halen's Hot for Teacher. How did that go? Something like that, right? But that's where you tap a note. Wait, is that right? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1. Yeah, and you put them in groups of 6. So now we're kind of all over the place here, but it's still all connected. So we basically we're talking about understanding the fretboard. We've taken our 12 tones. We've now taken a couple notes out to make it pentatonic. We're looking at E minor pentatonic now, but we can also look at A minor pentatonic, which we will in just one moment. But so E, and then what I did now, I just decided, okay, so I want to work on my pentatonic scale on this E string in relationship to everything else we just talked about. And I just thought of another, like a little pattern from a popular song from a long time ago. But where you tap a note. So I'm tapping my 12th. We've been talking about finger picking. We've talked about picking. Now we're talking about tapping all over. I'm tapping my 12th fret. If anybody's not familiar with tapping, you're kind of tapping your index finger down on a fret, or your middle finger, really any finger. I'm going to have my 3rd finger on my 7th fret for the B, and my 1st finger on the 5th fret for my A. I'm going to tap, and kind of after I tap, I'm going to push that finger down, like kind of pull it down so that I hear this B. Then I'm going to pull off this B to hear this A. Then I'm going to pull off this A to open E. So I have, and I could just practice that, groups of 4. Sorry. I just changed the rules at the middle of talking. Or I can come back up, which is what happens in Hot for Teachers. So then I go tap the 12th, pull off to the 7th, sorry, pull off to the 5th, pull off to open E, hammer back on the 5th. Now when you hammer, you just kind of slam that finger down. Hammer on the 7th, tap again. 6-note pattern, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Anyway, you get the idea. So again, just basically taking this information that we've learned today about understanding the fretboard and creating different exercises. So that would be, Ivo, to come back, that would be, and I know you're just kind of goofing around with the pentatonic, but I actually think it's super important to pull the pentatonic back in to whatever it is you're working, or vice versa. If you're starting with pentatonic, expand on it, because I think it helps connect everything, right? So I have this. E pentatonic. I accidentally added 1 C in there for anybody that heard it, which shouldn't have been in there. Now, if we were going to take those same 7 notes from what we started on the E Phrygian scale, again, don't be overly concerned with the name Phrygian, although it is fun to say to your friends. But but it's basically just the natural notes, right? It's the A, B, C, D, E, F, G laid out on the fretboard. So I could also make it A minor pentatonic quite easily too. I'd still skip the F. I'd play the G and the A, but I would skip the B on the 7th fret. I would play the C instead on the 8th. Everything else would be the same. I'm sorry. You'll notice what I've done again is I kind of find a pattern that I can't really play very well. And then I basically try to repeat it, but instead of just staying in one position where I get bored, I basically use, you know, the notes and the from whatever exercise I'm doing. So again, I'm learning the fretboard, I'm working on technique, and I'm hopefully expanding my own vocabulary, my own playing, right? I think that hopefully that all kind of makes sense. Anyway, I guess here's what I want to finish up with, because we've covered a lot of stuff. Again, the link is in the chat here for anybody wanting to join us, but we talked about learning all of the natural notes on the fretboard. We basically used our E string and our low E. I said on that page it shows the D string, which actually is a D Dorian sound. So we have yet another new sound. Oops. Not quite as dark as Phrygian, but still on the darker side. So again, there I'm going open, playing a note, going down one note from that fretboard, and then open again. Well, I guess actually the open is the start of the next one. So, but I think you're probably getting, the idea how I practice and how I continuously. I've been playing guitar a long time, but I still am learning. And people think I make this up, but I'm still learning just as much as when I started. Like, it only takes me a second to stumble across something I can't really play very well. And then if I really want to get good at that, where that becomes a part of my playing, I have to throw it into my practice thing, and I have to keep practicing it. So the only thing to be a little bit careful of here, we've talked about a lot of stuff. You don't want to throw too much stuff into your practice routine, because if you throw in so much stuff in that you're not getting to it or you're forgetting about it, it's not really going to help you. So you're better off, if you can, to take just a few things and try to practice those a lot for a few weeks. It might get a little bit more boring, but it'll get ingrained more. So I would say that for sure. Okay, so anyway, Ivo, thanks for mentioning that, because I really like the idea of taking that Phrygian and then turning it into pentatonic, either E minor or A minor. So that way we're still sticking with the same notes, right? That's kind of cool. And then, yeah, so the last thing I'll say, because we didn't do it before I end the stream, was, so we did the notes on the E string and we did the notes on the D string. One that might have made sense to do, which we didn't do, would have been the notes on the A string, because we were using the 7 alphabet letters, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So why didn't we do it on the A string? I don't know. But we will right now. So my A string, my 5th string. So remember, we said we had to go a whole step to B, because remember, Bert and Ernie, B to C. Anytime we land on Bert or B, C is the very next note. Anytime we land on E or Ernie, F is the very next note, right beside it. But every other alphabet letter, we have to skip a fret. So if we're on A, B would have to be the 2nd fret, because that's the black key in the middle on that 1st fret, if we're talking about how it relates to the piano. But now we're on Bert, we're on B, so C is the 3rd fret. So we have A, B, C. Open, 2nd, 3rd. D would be a whole step, 5th fret. A, B, C, D, now we need E. E would also be a whole step, but now we're on Ernie, so F would be a half step to the 8th fret. Then a whole step to G, 10th fret, and then a whole step to A, and we're back to where we started. Now we have an A minor scale. Eric Garner, how are you? Finally made it to one of these, but away from guitar, and now it's almost over. Haha. Yeah, well, that's awesome that you made it in, Eric. Thank you so much. And I think the plan is to get back doing them regularly every Wednesday at 1 Pacific Standard Time, 4 Eastern Standard Time, and so the plan is to get back to doing these every Wednesday again, and get back working on the channel in general again. There's been some big changes in my life that I explained a little bit last week, and I'll continue to explain. But one is a big giant dog, which she's sleeping through this whole stream. I went out and rushed out and got her a bone, because last week's stream she barked through the whole stream. So I went out and got her a bone for the stream, and she didn't want the bone. Now she's like over there sleeping on the floor. So it's all good though. I'll take her sleeping. So, but yeah, thanks Eric for coming in, and you said you don't have a guitar on hand. But anyway, this stream I'll leave it up, so it'll be up there to watch later. I think we covered a lot of pretty valuable stuff and a lot of information in it. Again, you just want to grab a couple pieces, maybe even only one, and work with that for a week or two, and then add to it. But be careful you don't throw too much stuff on there, right? Decide whether we're trying to learn the fretboard, we're trying to understand how the 12 tones sit on the fretboard. That's the main objective of this stream. And then basically we just kind of turned it into a little bit of technique exercise with using the pick and some different exercises, and fingers. Dave says, I've been playing 37 years and still learning. There's still stuff I'm horrible at, like slide. Yeah, I don't think we ever stop learning. It's a monster of an instrument, as is any instrument. So we can, without a doubt, spend our entire lives trying to master it. And I don't believe you know, when you hear the titles Master of Guitar or Master of, I mean, I don't think there's such a thing, really. And then, yeah, and then slide guitar. Yeah, now you're talking about a whole other beast too, right? Which is really fun. It's not something I ever have gotten really good at either, David. I play a little bit of slide guitar, but I wouldn't say. For years, I played in a Doors tribute band, and I had to play slide on a few songs in that. So, but yeah, I've kind of gotten away from it. I don't play too much slide. And then I was just saying, what about a quick solo jam at the end? Yeah, my plan, Ivo, if I had, I don't know if some of you remember, but at one point when I was doing my live streams, I had it where everything was connected and I actually had access to all my files with Ableton that I use on the laptop. And then I was able to kind of play along with files, which is really cool. But that has since, it doesn't work anymore. I don't know why exactly. My computer has had a bit of trouble, but it's working. So I'm just happy that it's working. But yeah, so I guess I'll do a little bit of a jam. I guess we'll keep it, and then I'll say bye. We'll keep it in the vein of what we've been doing. And you know, I talk a lot about using just a drone tone when you're working on these exercises to give it a little bit of sound, other than just having. Oh, I've always said is if you had a second guitar, you practice more. Like if you were going to do like an open tuning, yeah, for sure. Bear Logic, what's your favorite style of music to play? Yeah, Bear Logic. I don't think that I have a favorite. I really like everything. I just really like the guitar. I like learning, and I like growing. And yeah, I like everything. I love jazz. I love metal. I find like metal riffs, you know, really fun to learn and play. And yeah, I like folk stuff. I like fingerstyle stuff. Yeah, I don't think I have a favorite, Bear Logic, but thanks for asking. Yeah, I mostly just like to play for sure and keep learning. So, yeah. So does anybody else have any more questions before we go? And are any ideas for next week's live stream too? Because I haven't decided yet. Bear Logic says agreed. Same here. Not really any favorite. Yeah. Yeah, it's just fun to learn stuff, right? I've always said to students for years and years that something that you might not necessarily like to listen to might be something that you actually have quite a bit of fun playing. I've seen that happen time and time again. Ronnie asked if I'm still streaming in Pocket Live. No, I believe Pocket Live has completely revamped, and I have not even been on it for a while, but they basically decided to completely change. So I don't know what they ended up doing. It might be a gaming site now. I haven't even been on it, but no, I'm not streaming there anymore. It started changing. So, oh yeah, Ronnie, I did not forget. You know what? I was walking the dog the other day, and I was thinking about you mentioning Richie Sambora and some of his stuff from his solo record. Yeah, and I was saying some jazz lessons would be great. Yes. There's definitely plans on doing more of that, Ivo, for sure. I want to do, you know, I've done some blues lessons on the site, but I want to do like a jazz blues, and I'd like to do some jazz blues. Like I want to do a jazz blues with those different changes, and I've wanted for a while to do some lessons on like chording with walking bass. I have done a few, but I wanted to definitely do more. And there's all kinds of jazz riffs and tunes I would love to teach on the site. So I think I just mostly don't because there's not as much interest in it, but it's definitely coming for sure, Ivo, without a doubt. and exactly what I've always wanted to learn. Yeah, like a jazz blues. Yeah, and that would be fun for talking about soloing over too, and some of the other things we can add other than like playing just over blues scales. So yeah, very fun. Yeah, cool. Spanish. Um, that one's a little trickier barrel logic for me. I would probably have to like, I mean, I think I used to play a few Spanish pieces that were very popular, like Malgaña. What do you say? How does that even go? Boom, boom, boom. Oh, shoot. I'd have to dig a book out for that. Yeah, I'd have to dig. I have a couple books, and we'd probably have to learn stuff right out of the book. But I'm game for that stuff too. Again, anything that expands the realm of knowledge on the instrument, right? So I appreciate you guys saying that, because I'll add it to the list of things. I have a pretty long list, but I like hearing new things, because sometimes new things spark something that connects to something else. So yeah. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for now, because I have to go get my youngest from school, and I'm going to take the dog for a little bit of a walk before I get to the school. Otherwise, she gets a little too excited with all the kids. She loves kids. So, Malgaña. Yeah, that's it, right, Ronnie? Yeah. Don't. Oh, shoot. I'll look it up. You know what? I think I was just playing it last Christmas when I was home at my dad plays too, and I think he had a book with it in it, and I think I was playing it over Christmas. And Ivo says, to be clear, we probably all want to learn everything, so a 24/7 stream would be great. Yeah, yeah, that might be a little bit hard to do, but I definitely want to stream more. I'm going to do the regular Wednesdays thing, and then I think I may pop other ones in as I see fit too. They might be kind of on, you know, like last minute streams, but that's the plan, or at least get back to making videos. I just have a little bit of a dilemma with the actual video making process at the moment because of what's happened to the computers, but it'll get fixed and solved. So yeah, anyway, guys, hey, and girls, I'm not sure if any girls made it in today, but we've had quite a few, or a handful of viewers come through, and different people stay and hang out, and it's really great. Bear Logic, Ivo, Ronnie, Eric, I'm glad that you caught in here. Dave, of course, always. Yeah, thanks to everybody. I think I mentioned, I hope I mentioned everybody that commented and said something. I love the support, and yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday at 1, and stay tuned for other stuff on the stream too. I think we'll see more activity as I kind of get back into it and get back into the swing of things, and I'll explain as we move along some of the other changes that have happened in my life that are creating that have interfered with. The dog is a big one, but some others too that are equally big, really. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, Ivo, excellent. I'll see you guys maybe next Wednesday or maybe before, depending on what happens. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, hopefully maybe next time your guitar is in hand, and we'll all right. Later, guys. We'll see you all soon. Bye.